friends. I'm Karen, and this is the Family Food for Moms podcast. We're talking about inspiration for family cooking and dining. Today, I'm going to talk about 2 easy meal options with variety when you're just starting out cooking or for when life is crazy and you want something very easy to do. This is a way to plan things around potatoes and pasta, so you've got that good variety and then different ways to enhance those toppings, to add sauces, etc. to go with those. So easy meals to start off with when you're learning to cook. Also, maybe your son or daughter is going to leave home soon. This is a good way for them to learn to cook. So let's get started. So let's start off with potato. So to make a meal with a potato, you need to know how to cook the potatoes. So you can either bake them in the oven or you can steam them on your stovetop with a metal steamer in a pot. So if you're going to do them in the oven, we want to season the outside nicely. So it's good to put them on a baking tray with some baking paper or parchment paper. And then you wash the potatoes and dry them and spread them out on the tray. It's good if they're evenly sized, because then they'll cook in about the same length of time. If you do have some that are a little bigger, put those near the back and the smaller ones near the front. You can always remove the front ones if they are cooked sooner, but generally the back ones will cook a bit faster anyway, so it hopefully will even out. So you want to lay your potatoes out on a tray. Think about whether you're going to do one meal or a few meals in the week with potatoes, and then judge how many potatoes you'll need. Usually a meal based on potatoes would be 1 large potato or 2 small for ladies, then maybe 2 large or 3 medium for men. So then once you've put your potatoes on the tray, sprinkle a little olive oil on top or put a knob of butter on each, and then quite a bit of salt. So then the oil will sort of spread around the potato or the butter while it cooks and help it to get a nice crispy flavored skin, and it'll help to cook faster. Then you'll put it in the oven. You preheat your oven to about 200 for potatoes, 200 Celsius, 400 Fahrenheit, and then it cooks for about an hour. So you need to check it after about 45 minutes. Give the tray a little shake to spread the oil around the potatoes, and then check it again after an hour. Hopefully it won't take much longer than that, but depending on the size of your potatoes. So once they're soft and you can pierce them with a fork, test a few potatoes. We definitely want them to be done enough. Then you can take them out. So then you have a few options. You can either do toppings for your potato. You can do twice baked potatoes, kind of a potato bar style. So first, let's think about protein. So easy protein when you're starting out, you can take tinned fish like tuna or salmon, and then crush it up, shred it with a fork, and then you can add mayonnaise or a little other sauce that I'll speak about in a moment. Or you can add chicken. So your chicken, if you want to bake your chicken, take some chicken breasts, put them in a glass dish with some olive oil and some seasoning. So you'll want a good amount of salt, a little pepper, some onion powder perhaps to sprinkle on top, some herbs like oregano or thyme, and then maybe some smoked paprika or lemon juice. So the more seasonings you put on at the beginning, the better your chicken will be. So that you want to bake in your oven at 180 Celsius or 360, 375 Fahrenheit. And you bake that for about half an hour until your chicken is cooked. Then you can shred that and put that on top of the potato. So then a sauce to go on top. You can do a simple sauce where you mix mayonnaise, about half a cup of mayonnaise with a squirt or 2 of tomato sauce, a squirt of lemon juice, and a sprinkle of salt. That gives you a seafood style sauce. It's very nice to have on top of the fish, the tuna or the salmon, and also nice on top of the chicken. So that's if you want to just put a meat topping and then a sauce. For a baked potato bar style meal, you can put all kinds of toppings. So you could have your meat. You can also have any vegetables, some zucchini where you slice it and fry it in the pan for a few minutes. Or you can add salad ingredients like cucumber, tomato with your potato. Oh, yes. And then if you want to steam the potato, you'll need a metal steamer and some water in the bottom of a pot. And then you're going to put the potatoes inside the steamer, which is just above the water, and then close the lid. And it will steam for about 45 minutes until the potatoes are cooked through. You need to check that you've got enough water along the way when you're doing that. Something else that's fun to do with potatoes is make smashed or crushed potatoes, where you take your cooked potatoes on a tray or a plate, and then you take a potato masher and you squish the potatoes until they kind of burst a little bit and flat. Then you're going to add seasonings like oregano and olive oil again, even though you added them originally. You're going to add things like onion powder and then feta cheese, some mozzarella cheese that melts, and then you put them in the oven. And that's a even more flavorful base for any meat or anything you want to put on top of the potatoes or as a side. Then twice baked potatoes, you're going to cut the top off the potatoes or cut them in half. That's even easier. So cut them in half lengthways, like you would slice a cake in half. And then you scoop the potato out of each half, kind of leaving enough behind to just keep the firmness of the potato skin. Then you're going to mash up all that potato in a bowl that you've removed, and you're going to add some cream or a little bit of milk. You can add sweet corn kernels, cooked ones, like from a tin, or you can add cheese, Parmesan cheese, cheddar cheese, any jack cheese that's got good flavor. And then you mash that all up until it's soft. The cream helps with that. And then you put it back into the potato skins, sprinkle a little cheese on top, and bake them in the oven again. So heat them again until they're hot through and maybe a little crispy on top. In this one, you can also add some protein into the mixture before you put them back into the skins. A little bit of shredded chicken to make it more of a meal. And these keep great in the fridge. You can make a few extra and then just reheat them later for a meal. You can also top your potatoes with things like beef bolognese, so cooking up your mincemeat. But I didn't want to go into that too much, seeing as this is our first time cooking. So anything simple. Another thing that's great to add to potato is bacon. So you can fry your bacon in a pan or cook it on a baking tray in the oven. Don't let it get overdone. And then you just pull it apart and add it either to the twice baked potatoes or to the simple baked potato with or without your sauce. Another great sauce to top your potato with is cheese sauce, but that one's a little complicated to make, so we'll leave that for now. The mushroom sauce can be quite simple. Buy a few mushrooms, slice them up, and add lots of seasoning. You want to add salt, maybe a little onion powder, and a tiny bit of nutmeg brings out the flavor in potatoes. Sorry, in mushrooms. Then you can put the mushrooms in a pan with a lid on. The water in the mushrooms will create steam and help them to cook. Then once they're cooked through and getting nice and brown, then you can add a little bit of cream. So turn off the plate, pour in the cream over the mushrooms so that it doesn't get too hot. It shouldn't boil, but just heat up. And there's your mushroom sauce to pour over your potatoes. Delicious. Then our second option to use as a starting point would be pasta. So the best thing to do is choose the pasta you like best. So do you like spaghetti or spaghettoni, I think is thinner? Do you like tagliatelle, the long ribbons? Do you like penne, the little tubes? Also look for the palest pasta in the supermarket. The whiter it is, the better quality and the better the taste. I think it's aged for longer and it just tastes better. So once you've got your pasta, then follow the instructions on the package to cook it. Usually you can just take a pot on the stove, about 2/3 full of water, and then start it boiling. Once it gets to the boiling point, you can add a good amount of salt like the ocean, as Joe says on MasterChef. Then add a little bit of oil, a little bit of olive oil or coconut oil to help the pasta not to stick together. Add your pasta. You don't need to put a lid on, and then let it boil until al dente means a little bit less than soft, a little bit chewy but nice, already tasting good when you taste it. The best way to taste is to just take a piece out and taste it. Then once you drain your pasta, this is an important moment. Take the last little bit of pasta water and add it back to the pasta to be absorbed. That adds flavor, not too much, just a tiny bit, about a big spoonful. Then you can add a little olive oil, some salt, and even a little Parmesan cheese and mix it up. So, whatever pasta dish you're making, if you season your pasta like that immediately after it's been cooked, really tastes good. Then you can decide what to add. So, we want to go as simple as possible. So, if you have some cream and some basil pesto, mix those up and add them to the pasta. I would first take about 3 tablespoons of pesto, mix it into the pasta, and then add a little bit of cream until it seems to be the right consistency. You don't even need to heat it again. Or you can do some mushroom sauce, like I mentioned before. Make it in the same way and add it to the pasta, the mushrooms and the cream together. You can do a bacon cream sauce or bacon and mushroom. So again, as I mentioned before, you cook your bacon in the oven, shred it or pull it apart and add it to your pasta and a little bit of cream. The cream just brings a bit of liquid to the pasta, but you don't want a lot. You just want to mix it up and until it seems like the right consistency to eat. Add some more Parmigiano Reggiano or Parmesan cheese. Freshly grated is always best. You can add some basil leaves. Another thing you can do after you've cooked your pasta is have some baby tomatoes, if you like them, ready sliced. And then add those as soon as you've drained your pasta and added the seasonings while it's still hot so that they cook a little bit. Put the lid on for a few minutes and add some basil leaves. So the tomato is going to soften nicely and bring flavor. And then you can still add a tiny bit of cream if you want to. You can also add some shredded chicken, as I mentioned, for the potatoes. So the best is to keep it really simple and just decide on something yummy like bacon and add that. So the most important part is to cook your pasta perfectly and to season it perfectly before you add any toppings. And then you can be creative with what you like to add. Sun-dried tomatoes are great as well if you soak them in some olive oil and salt beforehand. And then bacon carbonara is also great. It uses egg instead of cream. You can look up a recipe on the internet to try, but you're basically going to have your bacon cooked and add that, and then add your egg once the pasta's cooked without the egg cooking too much. So you don't want it to be hot on the stove, but just warm when you mix it in. So those are 2 very easy starting places for some meals. Soon I'll do another episode with some other options using rice, etc. But for now, try out what you can and be creative. The most important part is cooking your base well and then using different ideas for what you'd like to put on top and keeping that as simple as possible. So I hope this helps. I appreciate you being here. I'll see you next time.